I want to spend a little bit of time on markets, the overall market segments, the target market. After reading business plans, I think you mostly get it, but there seemed to be a little confusion, and you didn't explore that, some of you, as well as I would have liked. So I'll spend just a few minutes to review that a little bit. The market is anyone who can buy from me. And when I talk about the overall market, that's anyone who could potentially buy from me. So let's look at an example. If I own a liquor store here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, the overall market is anyone within a, let's say, 12-mile radius who buys alcohol. So anyone in that radius could come to my store and buy alcohol. Now, I'm not going to sell to everyone within that market, within that radius. Some of them will go to the ABC liquor store. Some will go to the Cowboy liquor store. Some will come to mine. But I certainly won't get all of them. But that's the overall market, and it's defined in dollars. So if there are 20,000 people in that radius, and on average they spend $100 a year, that's 20,000 times 100, 200, that's $2 million. So the overall market is $2 million that I'm going to try to get a piece of. So that's the overall market. Now we break that down into market segments. Those are different categories of customers that can buy from me, and it's based on common characteristics within these different groups or segments. For example, one segment might be winos, right? So they are 40 to 55 years old, no income, they don't have a house, no job, they buy cheap table wine. So as soon as they can scrape together $4, he comes in and buys a cheap bottle of table wine. Now, he's a good customer because he comes in as often as he can, but it may not be my ideal customer. Another market segment might be 21 to 25-year-old fraternity guys. And they live pretty close to my store, and my prices are good. They like cheap prices, so they're going to buy 15 cases of beer and some bottles of Everclear for trash can punch. Right? So they got a big blowout this weekend, big party. And so their buying behavior is different than this other segment of winos. A third market segment might be young professionals. And so these are 25 to 35-year-old professional people. They're out of school, well educated, and they may be buying spirits. So they're buying scotch or they're buying whatever, right? So it may be a different product. They're a different price point. They're going to respond to a different type of marketing message, different interests and hobbies, different reasons for drinking alcohol. Wino just wants to get drunk. The young professionals are hanging out with their friends at a tailgate, and that's their goal. Still, another market segment might be up here a 40 to 60-year-old entertainers. So these entertainers want to have people over to their house, people from their civic organization, members of their country club, and they just want to have people over for a Friday night, Saturday night get-together, and they may buy nicer wines as opposed to beer or cheap table wine. Now, this can be confusing sometimes, but I want to make sure you distinguish the difference. If I own a liquor store, different markets are not beer, wine, spirits. Those are different product lines, and those product lines may serve different target markets, but the different types of alcohol are products. The different market segments are the people who buy from me. So now once I have those different different market segments identified, I got the winos, I got the fraternity guys, I got the entertainers, I have the young professionals. Now I get to, as a business owner, decide who am I going to go after? Who's my target market? That is, where do I want to emphasize my marketing message? Because I can't effectively market to all of them, because each of them are going to respond to a marketing message differently. What works for the wino is not going to work for the young professionals. And so in order to really make an effective marketing message, I'm not just going to shotgun approach and scatter a message out there that's diluted, but I want a message that's going to resonate with a certain group of people. And so I may decide my ideal customer, my target market, is the older entertainers. So it's the 40 to 60 country club, income maybe 75 to 150,000. They live in a certain part of town. That's where my store is. Whatever those common characteristics are, that's who I'm going after. Now, that doesn't mean if the fraternity guys or a wino comes into the store, I'm not going to refuse them service. I'll take their money if they want to make a purchase, but that's not who I'm going after. I'm really targeting one specific group. So I hope that helps kind of break down overall market segments, and target market. Part of that, what I'd like to see in your business plans is not only identify that target market, but really, as Aulette talks about in his book, define that persona. So what do they read? Do they work out? What other interests or hobbies do they have? Where do they work? So really build that persona. That will help you identify, okay, this is the person we're trying to sell to. Now I know how to reach them and talk to them. I think that will help when you start to tailor your product and your marketing message. If you have any questions, let me know.